Hello everyone, today we have Ido Shlomo, the Data Science Group Manager at BlueVine, and today we're speaking about the evolution of a successful tech startup. So welcome to the show, Ido. I'm very excited to have you.
Hi, Kat. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And could you just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us more about your background and how you got started in your role today?
Yeah, so my name is Ido. I'm a data science group manager at BlueVine. And just a bit about BlueVine, we're a fintech that serves small and medium-sized businesses. Basically, we provide working capital in the form of various lending products and also more recently, virtual banking. I lead the US-based data science team, and we solve problems in three main fields. Basically risk assessment, fraud detection, and customer lifecycle management. And my personal interests in data science are NLP and ML ops. And I got started basically right off my master's. I have a master's in economics, and I've been with BlueVine right out of academia all the way to today, about 7 years.
Yeah, great. And so you've definitely been with BlueVine for quite a while now. And so what are some of the biggest growth changes that you've been able to see at your company?
I think, on the most basic level, it's the number of users and number of products. Both of those have increased. So the data science team has had to provide automation and decision solutions for many different use cases on a much larger scale. Zooming a bit out of that, we need to start serving the organization's internal needs as well, and not just support the product. So that means using data science to analyze and improve the customer experience within our own ecosystem, and also empower the teams supporting them. So we've been doing LTV models to inform marketing, churn models to inform support, and topic modeling of emails and calls to streamline support tickets, that kind of thing. And even taking a step further back from that, as the organization grows, data science also has to become just much more accountable. So that means development and deployment and monitoring processes that are a lot more detailed and robust. When a company is just beginning, all of these things are sort of put aside or not taking into account. But when you're in a growing organization, that's one of the first things you notice, that these things start to come into play.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of these changes, as you had mentioned, over the times. And let's talk about some projects that you've worked on at BlueVine. So can you talk about any specific projects you've worked on that really involved data and really got your hands dirty with working with the data and finding different solutions?
Yeah, I'll talk about one project. I'll sort of try to strike the right balance between a little bit of detail and not too much detail. One major one was that we built a model that consumes bank transaction data. And the thing is, BlueVine gets very large amounts of bank transaction data from our clients. And the business goal was to find a way to leverage that data for two main things. One was to get a better measure of our clients' cash flow. And this is a key data point for underwriting. And the second thing was to potentially provide information back to the client about the nature of their activity happening in their own accounts. And this is something that should be familiar for many consumers from their consumer bank account, but it doesn't happen so much on the business level. So the model that we built was doing two main things to try to solve these business problems. One was to just classify the transaction type. And the second was to extract the counterparty or the entity. So for example, if you have an incoming transaction of $100 with the text, swipe at counter square terminal or something like that, then the model would classify that as merchant services because it's a square terminal, and ideally extract a counterparty, which is square. And we use two different models here, both NLP models. The first one was a BERT, right? The transformer model for actually classifying the transaction. And the second thing was a customized CRF model for extracting the counterparty.
Yeah, and super interesting stuff that you've been able to work on. And with that, there must be a lot of different challenges that you've seen throughout the work that you've done at BlueVine. So what is a major challenge that you've been able to see and really grow from during your time here?
So BlueVine's growth has always been, I guess, continuous is the word I would use. And what I mean by that is that the company mostly expanded on existing products and capabilities while keeping them online and trying to add new products and scale. So for data science, what this means is swapping out basically the entire infrastructure and methodology on the fly without any downtime, right? That's the only way you can change while keeping everything up. So the challenge here was how to both design and implement new infrastructure and processes while still pushing really, really hard on everything that's serving all of the existing needs. You know, all of the models and analytics that are in production, you have to maintain them in tip-top shape while you're basically migrating everything to something new. So data science at BlueVine went through two major cycles of this, not one, but two. The very first one was when we just started out with cron jobs. And I think many startups begin with cron jobs. And maybe it's not very fancy or sexy, but it's how things start up. So we moved from cron jobs to Airflow, which is a workflow managing system. And then we moved from self-managed servers to deploying services behind APIs. And again, all of that without any downtime. So that was a really, really big challenge for us.
Yeah, definitely. And throughout your time working here, do you have any favorite parts about working at this startup or just any startup in general?
Yeah, I think I do, and I think these points relate to any startup, any good startup, and I think it's that the work itself is center stage, and this means that the entire organization and most of the people in it are always focused on moving and delivering, and this is as opposed to some sort of complacency that can set in, and it might affect large organizations, and I think that for data scientists, one of the biggest motivators is work that is both challenging and impactful. And if you're in a good startup, you can get both of these, since the targets are usually very ambitious, and that's where the challenge comes in. And the organization usually needs everybody on deck, right? They need everybody working. So there's a high likelihood that if your work is good as a data scientist, it will actually be implemented and used. So that's the impact part. That I think that sort of sums up why I like working at a startup, and specifically at BlueVine, which has these components.
Yeah, definitely. And especially working at any startup, it's always very fast paced. Things are always changing. There's always a new set of problems to be solved. So things are always changing, and it's never a dull day, really. Every single day is just a new kind of solution to find. And so how do you kind of see the future of these startups changing, since there's a lot of advancements that are constantly being made right now? So do you see it changing in any way in the future?
Yeah, I think as data science is maturing as a field, you're seeing many of the things that were being done, on a very personal and individual level start to become products themselves. Products that startups can use as an enterprise product, right? So data science is becoming more and more focused on what would be the core components of exploration and feature engineering, and less of the crazy code writing and band-aid sticking parts. So I think that's probably the biggest change, that the field is maturing and a lot of the components are turning into services that startups can buy from vendors.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of kind of the business, so it sounds like you're definitely coming from more of a technical field right now, technical background. How were you able to kind of learn more about the business side and be able to extract your technical findings from the data into what you really need for the business overall?
Yeah, there's two parts to this. One is to always try to be in communication with your stakeholders on the business side, like whoever it is that's actually going to be using the final product. It's good to generate a good sync and good communication at the very outset when you're thinking about designing a data science solution. Figure out what their needs are in their own words, not in your words, right? They usually won't speak about precision and recall or classification. They'll have some specific business need. We need this metric to go up, this process to be faster. So try to get aligned with your stakeholders very, very quickly, as soon as you can. And the second thing is to actually generate some processes to govern the data science work. It's really hard, especially when you start off in a startup where people like to sort of go their own way. But putting in some guardrails and some standardization usually takes out a lot of the ambiguity and streamlines a lot of the work, so you can get to your point faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of wrap up this entire conversation, outside of just the technical work that you do at BlueVine and just programming, coding in general, do you have any hobbies that you do just to kind of pass the time on the weekends?
I'll stick to the data science. I love NLP and I love ML ops. So whenever I have some free time, I try to make sure I catch up on the domain, the latest developments there. As part of my role at BlueVine is also to figure out what are the infrastructure needs of our team and how that meets the capabilities of the organization. So when I'm not actively working or pushing anything within BlueVine, I sort of take the time to catch up on the literature on both of those and from the community.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a great way to keep up with the trends that are going on with just data science in general also. And I want to say thank you so much, Ido, for joining us. We at the Data Standard, we're trying to build a community of data enthusiasts and data thought leaders, just so everyone has a place where they can just network with each other. So what is something that we could do for you?
Well, one of the hardest things for me has always been to figure out what are the best tools, methods, and processes for managing science teams and managing projects, data science projects. So if there are any practitioners in the field, both on the modeling side or the management side, that have good solid ideas about these topics, I'd love to hear them. A lot of the knowledge today comes from the software engineering world, and those don't translate so well for data science in my mind. So if there's a community out there of people who know this, I'd be happy to hear.
Yeah, definitely. And for people that are listening, how can everyone kind of connect with you online?
Best on LinkedIn, I think. I'm also on Twitter, but LinkedIn is probably the best way.
Okay, perfect. And to our audience, for more information on the Data Standard, you can find us at www.datastandard.io, as well as on our LinkedIn and YouTube channel. So thank you so much, Ido, for joining us. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show and learn more about your work at BlueVine. So hope to talk to you again soon.
Of course. Thank you so much. This was great.